Minisforum's UM880 Plus is a model we haven't looked at yet, so that's good enough reason to check it out. Not the most exciting intro, maybe we need to throw it into ChatGPT to spice it up. Wow, that's terrible. The UM880 Plus looks very similar to a bunch of Minisforum units previously reviewed and has the familiar plastic shell. It's a good quality build with only the undercarriage being flexible and feeling a bit cheap. This one comes with AMD's Ryzen 8845HS, a popular 8-core 16-thread CPU with Radeon 780M graphics, but it is starting to show its age. Included in the box is a compact 19V 120W power supply, screws, spare rubber feet, VESA mount, manual, HDMI cable, and an M.2 to OCulink adapter. All this comes in at $759 for the 1TB SSD 32GB RAM combo. The bare bones requiring RAM, storage, and OS is significantly cheaper at $367. There's a digital microphone on the front, which has been poor quality on every unit from Minisforum so far, and this one's no different. There's also a power button, dual USB-A 5GB, 3.5mm audio jack, and clear CMOS. The UM880 Plus comes with a MediaTek Wi-Fi 6E for wireless and Bluetooth. On the rear we have a Realtek 2.5GB LAN jack, HDMI, OCulink if you use the included M.2 to OCulink adapter, USB 4 40GB supporting power delivery and display, and finally we have two USB 2 ports. This is another Mini with annoying glued on rubber feet covering screws. After they're all out, lift the lid and a single 32GB RAM stick. It's the other pain that never ends. This is the first time we've seen it on a Minisforum unit. What happened? Also included is a crucial Gen 4 SSD and a MediaTek M.2 Wi-Fi and Bluetooth card. As is almost always the case, Windows 11 Pro is included and a scan shows the OS to be malware and virus free. This MediaTek Wi-Fi chip does not play nicely with Linux and doesn't work at all. But if you're okay with using wired internet, Ubuntu works fine. Right, let's move on to the benchmarks. As per usual, the default benchmark is tested using the Mini PC with its out-of-box configuration, while the performance benchmark is a Mini maxed out. In this case, maxed out means enabling performance mode in the BIOS and using a dual RAM stick configuration. And we start with single core Cinebench, which shows the Mini is performing fine. There's no benefit with extra RAM and performance mode. Cinebench Multicore shows one of the best AMD 8-core Ryzen results out of the box, and there's a slight improvement with performance mode. Geekbench Single Core uses a bunch of tests for its benchmark and is usually affected by memory speed. The better result here is from throwing in the extra RAM stick. With Multicore, the score is low out of the box. After the hardware and BIOS tweak, we see a huge gain in performance. The same thing happens when encoding video files. There's a sharp drop in encoding time with the tweaks. The longer AV1 encoding test doesn't see as much of a drop at default, but it's still substantially slower in encoding speed. Offloading a lot of the same workload to the iGPU with one stick of RAM isn't a great result. We see a large reduction with two. Since there isn't enough space to put multiple performance profiles with the AI test, I go with the best result, which is 2 sticks of RAM and performance mode enabled. The score puts it right up the chart when testing the CPU, and the GPU test is also right up there. Moving on to 3D Mark GPU tests, and the numbers aren't pretty out of the box, with it performing like the Minisforum UM750L, a much weaker CPU. The large increase in score is thanks to the second RAM stick, as it was with the Geekom A7 Max, which had the same problem. And it really is a huge difference, whether it's the Firestrike benchmark, Time Spy, or Steel Nomad Lite. So much GPU performance is left on the table by only having a single stick of RAM. We've looked at the Radeon 780M iGPU so much since its initial release, there isn't much to add, but I will show how one stick of RAM compares in side-by-side tests. The CPU is good for most esports at 1080p or higher resolution. It can also be decent at 1080p low for AAA games.
Abara and I will secure the building down here, while you're upstairs restoring power to the door.
though it struggles with new ones, and FSR isn't enough to pick up the slack. You can play all your favorite emulators with most games running at full speed. The draw card for this Mini is its OCulink port. Here's how it compares to USB 4 with the exact same eGPU. Yep, just like 2 sticks of RAM, the extra bandwidth of OCulink makes a big difference. The UM880 Plus doesn't have a great result when compiling code out of the box. This workload also needs more memory bandwidth. Same with the Adobe Photoshop benchmark. We can see that Adobe Premiere gets a real hammering in its score with just 1 stick. The included SSD came back with a pretty average result. SSD temp held up well, and the drive didn't throttle even under heavy load. At 6.5 meters or 21 feet, Bluetooth range is above average. Wireless worked fine at 12 meters or 39 feet from the router, tested using the 5G band. An idle power draw of 8 watts is good, while the maximum is close to around the 100 watt mark from the wall, and performance mode adds a bit more. Cooling isn't the greatest, with the CPU peaking at 92°C. Fan noise under load with the out-of-the-box configuration is above the 40 dBA average, while the performance mode is much louder and not worth the small performance gain at all. You're much better off adding another RAM stick instead. When it comes to its overall volume, this is one of the bigger mini PCs out there. The delete key gets you into the BIOS. In advanced, ACPI is the power limit setting. You'll also find Wake on LAN here. Hardware monitor does not let you set the fan speed manually. AMD CBS MBIO common options has the GFX configuration settings where you can change the VRAM limit. By default, it's at 2 GB. FCH has the AC power loss option, and SMU common options lets you choose the power limit manually. Alright, let's finish this one up with the mini PC checklist. Minisforum's UM880 Plus is made of plastic, and the price is high for the pre-build thanks to the current RAM and SSD prices. I'll be saying this a lot going forward. There's a compact power supply and plenty of features, except dual LAN. Glued on rubber feet is an automatic disqualifier for being easy to open. Why couldn't Minisforum just put 2 times 16GB RAM modules in this Mini? While 2 storage slots are included, one needs to be sacrificed to use OCulink. Unfortunately, Wi-Fi doesn't work with Linux. Performance, CPU and component cooling is good. No problems with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Idle and load fan noise is low as long as you stick to the default balance mode. Like most Minisforum units, this one didn't pass the audio latency test for audio production. There's no guarantee there will be BIOS updates, but Minisforum does release some from time to time on their specific product support pages, along with driver downloads. Minisforum is also one of the few brands to include a longer 2-year warranty than the standard 1 year. That's the Minisforum UM880 Plus. A good performing mini PC when it's not hampered by a single RAM stick. Why they put in a 32GB stick is hard to fathom and really messes with its performance. As with the other Minisforum units similar to this one, another downside is that OCulink requires one of the M.2 slots to be sacrificed on the altar. Anyway, this Mini is linked in the video description if you're interested. Anything purchased through those links helps the channel out at no cost to you. Want a mini PC with a ton of CPU performance? Check out the review of Minisforum's MS-A2 workstation, which you can find right here. Cheers.